The crystalline ships appeared in Earth's orbit like diamonds catching the morning sun. Their arrival had been anticipated for weeks, yet the sight still drew gasps from everyone in the United Earth Command Center. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the observation window, her reflection calm against the backdrop of the spectacular alien vessels. "They're earlier than expected," muttered Director Marcus Powell, checking his tablet for the 100th time. The Galactic Council never mentioned they'd send both the Arcturians and the Centauri. Sarah smoothed her formal diplomatic uniform, a blend of traditional Earth styles with subtle nods to space-age aesthetics. Perhaps they wanted to make an impression. She smiled slightly, knowing that humanity was about to make quite an impression of its own, just not yet. The Arcturian ship resembled a blooming flower, its pearlescent petals adjusting constantly to solar winds, while the Centauri vessel looked like liquid mercury shaped by invisible hands. They made Earth's best ships look like children's toys in comparison, which was precisely what the Council intended. Inside the reception hall, automated systems adjusted the atmosphere and gravity to accommodate their visitors. The Arcturians glided in first, their bioluminescent robes trailing starlight patterns. Ambassador Lyra, their lead representative, stood nearly 8 feet tall with silvery skin that rippled like water. Behind her, the Centauri delegation emerged, their environmental suits covered in constantly shifting data displays. "Welcome to Earth." Sarah stepped forward, performing the traditional greeting gesture they'd learned from Council communications. "We are honored by your presence." Lyra's translator Crystal chimed softly. "The Council has received your application for membership with great interest." Her tone carried the same warmth one might use when speaking to a precocious child. "Though we must admit, your technological advancement level is unexpected." The Centauri representative, Controller Vec, interrupted with a series of sharp clicks that his translator converted to speech. "Our scans indicate your most advanced fusion reactors operate at merely 60% efficiency. Your space stations require constant maintenance, and your lunar base houses only 500 humans." Sarah maintained her diplomatic smile, even as she noticed several Earth officials shifting uncomfortably behind her. "We believe we have much to offer the galactic community beyond our current visible infrastructure." Yes, Lyra waved a graceful hand. "Your cultural achievements are quite charming. We've studied your music, art, and what you call social media. Most entertaining." The meeting continued in the same vein as they toured Earth's proudest achievements. The visitors found the International Space Station quaint, the Mars colonies primitive, and the quantum computing centers amusingly simple. Their condescension grew with each stop, though they masked it behind diplomatic pleasantries. During the final presentation on Earth's terraforming efforts on Mars, Controller Vec actually laughed, a sound like tinkling crystal. "You're attempting to transform Mars using this methodology. Our youngest engineering students design more efficient systems in their sleep cycles." Sarah felt Director Powell tense beside her, but she placed a subtle hand on his arm. Let them think what they wanted. Let them underestimate. It made the truth that much sweeter. As the delegation prepared to depart, Lyra offered what she clearly thought was generous encouragement. "Your species shows remarkable determination, despite your limitations. Perhaps in another century or two, you'll be ready for proper council membership. Until then, we can offer protected status, helping guide your development like we do with other emerging civilizations." "You're too kind," Sarah replied, her voice steady. "Though I hope you'll accept our invitation to tour our asteroid mining operations next week. We're quite proud of our modest achievements there. More primitive extraction technologies." Vec's displays flickered with what might have been amusement. "If you insist, we will observe." As the alien ships departed, their crystalline forms catching Earth's sunlight one last time, Sarah finally allowed herself a real smile. In 7 days, everything would change. Humanity's greatest achievement waited in the asteroid belt, and soon the galaxy would learn that appearances could be deceiving indeed. Deep in the asteroid belt, engineer Maya Patel floated in zero gravity, watching clouds of constructors swarm around asteroid 2037X. The microscopic machines sparkled like diamond dust as they transformed raw space rock into gleaming structures. After 50 years of secret work, Project New Horizons had grown beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Her tablet pinged with an urgent message from Central Control. Another constructor cluster had achieved full automation, expanding the project's eastern wing ahead of schedule. Maya allowed herself a moment of pride. The basic machines they'd launched decades ago had evolved into something extraordinary, learning and improving their own designs through quantum algorithms. "Maya, you need to see this," called out her colleague, Dr. James Chen, his voice crackling through the comm system of their observation pod. "The resonance towers are synchronizing." She propelled herself toward the massive window, watching in awe as massive crystalline spires rose from different asteroids, their tips beginning to pulse with soft blue light. The towers would soon generate the quantum fields necessary to maintain the city's artificial atmosphere and gravity wells. "Beautiful, isn't it?" James said softly. "Hard to believe the Council thinks we're still struggling with basic fusion technology." Maya nodded, but before she could respond, a warning light flashed on her console. Her heart nearly stopped as she saw the cause. A junior engineer had accidentally transmitted an unencrypted message about the project's latest breakthrough to a public channel. "Control, we have a situation," Maya called out, her fingers flying over the holographic controls, initiating communication blackout protocols. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Teams scrambled to trace the signal's path and intercept it before it could reach any monitoring stations. Ambassador Chen would need to be notified immediately. The Council delegates were due to visit in less than a week, and even a whisper of their true capabilities reaching them too soon could disrupt everything. Maya made her way through the partially completed residential sections, where construction robots were weaving carbon nanotubes into vast living spaces. The city already housed thousands of secret personnel, with room for millions more. Decades of watching science fiction had prepared humanity for this moment. They dreamed of cities in space long before they could build them. In the quantum computing core, she found Dr. Elena Santos reviewing the signal containment protocols. The massive processors hummed quietly, their crystalline matrices storing more computing power than all of Earth's systems combined. "We contained most of it," Elena reported, her expression relieved. "A few fragments might have reached the outer system, but they'll look like regular communication noise. We got lucky." Maya released a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "The Council's ships will be here in 6 days. We can't risk them finding out too soon." "It's ironic," Elena mused, watching the constructors through a nearby viewport. They were assembling a massive entertainment complex, complete with zero-gravity theaters and recreational spaces. They mock our technology while we've built something they haven't even imagined possible. The next few days passed in careful preparation. Teams inspected every inch of the visible mining facilities that would be shown to the Council representatives, ensuring all signs of their true work remained hidden. The cloaking systems were tested and retested, the quantum shields that kept their city invisible humming with power. Maya stood in the observation deck of the completed central tower, watching distant Jupiter paint stripes of amber and cream across the void. Below her, the city stretched out across linked asteroids, a marvel of engineering and human determination. Soon, the Council would see what humanity was truly capable of. Her tablet chimed. A message from Ambassador Chen. "Everything ready on your end." Maya smiled as she typed her response, thinking of the condescending aliens who would soon tour their primitive mining operation. "All systems ready, Ambassador. Time to show them what humanity can really do." The Galactic Council chamber hung in high orbit above a gas giant the humans would later learn was considered neutral territory. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the center of the vast circular space, surrounded by representatives from 30 different species. The Arcturian and Centauri delegates sat in their elevated positions, their earlier condescension now mixed with obvious boredom. The human application for council membership requires serious evaluation, Lyra announced, her bioluminescent patterns shifting to formal patterns. Their technological development is concerning. They still rely on chemical rockets for most of their space travel. Controller VEX data displays flickered rapidly. Their mining operations in their asteroid belt are particularly primitive. Inefficient drilling techniques, basic ore processing. About those mining operations, Sarah interrupted smoothly, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. We would like to invite the council to observe them personally. Today, if possible. A ripple of surprised murmurs spread through the chamber. The humans have been nothing but accommodating during the evaluation process, but this was the first time they had made such a direct request. We have already reviewed your mining technical specifications, Vec replied dismissively. Our time would be better spent. I insist, Sarah said, allowing a slight smile to play across her lips. After all, seeing is believing. 2 hours later, a convoy of council ships approached the asteroid belt, their sensors sweeping the area. Sarah stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, watching the delegates' reactions. The initial scans showed exactly what they expected: scattered mining operations, basic processing facilities, and small transport ships moving between asteroids. As our reports indicated, Lyra said, not bothering to hide her impatience, perhaps now we can return to more pressing matters. Sarah checked her tablet, where a message from Maya had just appeared. All systems ready. If you could just move a little closer to Sector 7, Sarah suggested. The view is quite spectacular. The ships adjusted their course. As they crossed an invisible threshold, Sarah began a silent count. 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, every sensor on the council ships went wild. The space before them shimmered like heat waves rising from hot pavement. The quantum shields that had hidden humanity's greatest achievement for decades began to fade away, revealing something that made even the most composed alien delegates gasp. A city emerged from the void, spanning multiple asteroids connected by gleaming bridges of light and matter. Crystalline spires rose miles into space, their surfaces reflecting starlight in rainbow patterns. Massive habitation rings spun in perfect synchronization, creating artificial gravity for millions of residents. Gardens bloomed in transparent domes, their colors vibrant against the darkness of space. Welcome, Sarah said into the stunned silence, to new horizons. The council ships drew closer, their sensors now detecting the true scale of the construction. Quantum computing cores pulsed with energy that their instruments could barely measure. Transportation tubes connected different sectors with technology that made their fastest ships seem slow. Environmental systems maintained perfect atmospheric conditions throughout the sprawling metropolis. Impossible, Vec whispered, his displays chaotic with conflicting data. Our surveys showed no sign of this. The energy requirements alone would be massive. Sarah completed his thought. Yes, we know. We solved that particular problem 30 years ago. Lyra's usual graceful movement had stilled completely. How long has this existed? We began construction 50 years ago. When we first detected your transmissions, Sarah explained, we knew we weren't alone, and we wanted to be ready. What you see is just the first of 3 planned cities. The chamber erupted in overlapping questions and exclamations. Sarah noticed with satisfaction that the condescension had vanished from both Lyra and Vec's expressions, replaced by something that looked very much like awe. Now then, Sarah said, her voice cutting through the chaos. Shall we begin the real tour? The council delegation's transport pod glided silently through one of the quantum tunnels connecting the city's major hubs. Controller Vec had insisted on scanning the tunnel walls with his own instruments, his digital displays flickering rapidly as he processed the readings. The quantum field manipulation is beyond anything in our databases, he admitted, setting aside his scanner. How did you achieve stable containment at this scale? Maya, who had joined the tour as technical advisor, smiled. We found that traditional containment methods were too limiting. Instead, we developed a recursive field that actually becomes more stable as it expands. The pod emerged into a vast spherical chamber where gravity shifted like ocean currents. In one section, children played in a zero-gravity park, bouncing between soft barriers with delighted squeals. Nearby, others walked normally on curved paths that defied conventional physics. The gravity gardens, Sarah explained, watching the delegates' expressions of amazement. Our scientists discovered that gravity can be woven like fabric if you understand its quantum properties correctly. Each section can maintain its own gravitational field without interfering with adjacent areas. Ambassador Lyra drifted closer to the transparent walls, her bioluminescence pulsing with excitement. The energy requirements for such manipulation would be impossible with conventional power sources, Maya completed. That's why we developed quantum tap technology. The city draws energy directly from quantum fluctuations in space-time. The tour continued through the residential districts, where apartments adapted their internal configuration based on occupants' needs. Gardens spiraled through the structures in three-dimensional patterns, providing both food and atmospheric processing. The plants themselves were bioengineered marvels, each one capable of producing oxygen at 10 times the rate of their Earth counterparts. Our greatest breakthrough was in computing, Maya said as they approached the central control nucleus. We call it the living matrix. The chamber they entered pulsed with soft blue light. Crystalline structures grew and shifted like living coral, each formation processing data at speeds that made traditional quantum computers look primitive by comparison. The system is semi-organic, Maya explained. It grows, learns, and evolves. Every crystal you see is a quantum processor that operates in 11 dimensions. Vex displays almost froze in shock. 11 dimensions. That's theoretically impossible without causing cascade failures in local spacetime. It was impossible, Sarah corrected gently, until we found a way to stabilize dimensional barriers using modified string theory principles. The math behind it is quite elegant, actually. They moved to an observation deck overlooking one of the manufacturing sectors. Streams of constructor nanites flowed like rivers of starlight, transforming raw materials into finished products with perfect efficiency. The delegates watched in silence as a new habitation ring took shape before their eyes, growing like a crystal in fast forward. Each constructor contains a quantum node linked to the living matrix, Maya said. They can adapt their programming in real time, developing better construction methods through collective quantum intelligence. The final stop was the research center, where scientists from every field worked on projects that pushed the boundaries of known physics. One team was developing ways to manipulate dark energy for faster-than-light travel. Another studied methods to terraform planets in days rather than centuries. Why keep all this hidden? Lyra finally asked, her tone carrying none of her earlier condescension. You could have joined the council years ago with this level of technology. Sarah exchanged a knowing look with Maya before responding. Sometimes, the best way to develop something extraordinary is to do it without interference or preconceptions. We took what we learned from studying your transmissions and went in our own direction. As the tour concluded, Vec turned to Sarah with his displays showing patterns they hadn't seen before. We may need to reevaluate humanity's position in the galactic community. It seems we have much to learn from each other. Sarah nodded diplomatically, but she knew this was just the beginning. The city's greatest secrets were still waiting to be revealed. The delegates' next stop revealed a different side of New Horizons. Their transport pod emerged into what appeared to be an open-air market, though open air took on new meaning in space. A transparent dome stretched overhead, offering a breathtaking view of Jupiter's swirling storms in the distance. Our cultural district, Sarah explained as they watched people browse stalls selling everything from traditional Earth crafts to items that could only exist in zero gravity. We discovered that technology alone doesn't make a civilization. People need community, art, and connection to thrive. A group of students floated past, their school uniforms designed with subtle gravity manipulators. They carried tablets displaying holographic star charts, chattering excitedly about their upcoming astronomy practical. One young girl demonstrated her homework, a perfect miniature galaxy spinning above her palm. "Your children seem remarkably adapted to space life," Lyra observed, watching as the students navigated different gravity zones with unconscious ease. "The first generation born here," Sarah replied. "They think in 3 dimensions naturally, in ways we ground-bound adults had to learn. To them, walking on curved surfaces and switching gravity planes is as normal as breathing." They passed an art gallery where sculptures defied physics, made possible by the city's gravity control. An artist demonstrated her work. Drops of liquid metal suspended in intricate patterns, catching starlight and reflecting it in mesmerizing ways. In another corner, a musician played an instrument that used quantum vibrations to create sounds impossible in normal space. The market opened into a vast chamber that Sarah called the Grand Exchange. Here, restaurants served cuisine from every Earth culture, adapted for space living. Robotic chefs, guided by the living matrix, crafted dishes that changed flavor and texture based on each diner's preferences. "Is that real water?" Vec asked, his displays flickering with interest as they passed a lake that curved up one wall of the chamber, defying conventional physics. "The Mobius Lake," Maya explained. "It uses quantum fields to maintain cohesion while flowing in a continuous loop. The fish are genetically engineered to thrive in variable gravity. They've developed some fascinating swimming patterns." They watched as a group of children took a swimming lesson, diving through water that flowed in impossible directions. Their laughter echoed through the chamber, mixing with the gentle sound of flowing water and distant conversations in dozens of Earth languages. The tour continued through residential areas where gardens grew in spiral patterns around living spaces. Families had dinner on balconies overlooking vast space vistas, while others tended to plants that glowed softly, providing both light and oxygen. "How do you maintain social cohesion in such an unusual environment?" Lyra asked, watching as a community gathering took place in a shared space where the floor became the ceiling became the walls. "By embracing the unusual," Sarah answered. "We found that traditional social structures needed to evolve just like our technology. Communities here organize themselves based on shared interests and projects rather than traditional geographic boundaries." They passed a research center where scientists collaborated with advanced AI systems, their work displayed on walls that doubled as interactive screens. Nearby, a group of engineers tested new spacesuit designs that looked more like second skins than traditional protective gear. "The most remarkable thing," Vec noted, his displays showing complex analysis patterns, "is how seamlessly you've integrated advanced technology with daily life." Sarah smiled as they watched a young couple having a picnic in a garden that floated in space, protected by invisible quantum fields. That was always the goal. Not to just build something impressive, but to create a place where humanity could truly live among the stars. The pod moved toward their final stop of this section, and Sarah prepared to reveal another layer of New Horizons significance. The delegates had seen how humans lived in their sky city. Now it was time to show them why this achievement meant more than just a technological triumph. The Galactic Council's emergency session chamber erupted in a chaos of voices, holographic displays, and urgent messages flooding every communication channel. News of New Horizons had spread faster than a quantum pulse through the connected worlds, and the political landscape was shifting like sand in a solar wind. Sarah stood calmly at the center of the storm, her tablet displaying a constant stream of incoming diplomatic requests. Behind her, a holographic display showed the construction progress of humanity's second and third space cities, their structures already taking shape in distant asteroid clusters. "The Proxima Confederation demands immediate technology sharing agreements," announced one of the Council's administrative AIs, its voice cutting through the din. "The Sirius Alliance has offered exclusive trading rights. The Centaurian Empire suggests a military partnership." Controller Vex displays flickered so rapidly they almost strobed. "This is unprecedented. 17 major civilizations have already revised their technological development rankings. The entire galactic economic model will need restructuring. Perhaps, Sarah suggested with a slight smile, we should focus on more immediate concerns. She gestured to the main display, where images of new horizons captured the attention of every species present. We're prepared to share some of our developments, under the right conditions. The chamber fell silent. Even the most ancient species leaned forward in anticipation. Our quantum tap technology could solve energy crises in 12 systems, she continued. Our gravity manipulation techniques could revolutionize space travel. Our construction methods could build habitats for millions in months rather than decades. Lyra's bioluminescent patterns shifted to show intense interest. And what would humanity want in return? Partnership, Sarah replied simply. Not subjugation, not protection, not guidance. Equal partnership in shaping the galaxy's future. The holographic displays shifted to show the next phase of human expansion. Vast networks of connected cities, research stations probing the boundaries of known physics, and transportation systems that could bridge light years. The Centaurian Empire withdraws its military proposal, announced their representative, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix. We instead propose a joint scientific initiative. One by one, the aggressive proposals transformed into offers of cooperation. The Sirius Alliance suggested cultural exchange programs. The Proxima Confederation offered to share their millennium of astronomical data. There's something we don't understand, Vec interjected, his displays showing analytical patterns. The quantum signatures from New Horizons suggest you've had this technology for decades. Why reveal it now? Sarah nodded to Maya, who activated a secure holographic channel. The image that appeared caused another wave of gasps. A third city, twice the size of New Horizons, already under construction in a distant sector. Because now we need your help, Sarah explained. What we've built is just the beginning. The challenges ahead require cooperation on a scale never before attempted in this galaxy. The chamber's mood shifted from excitement to curiosity tinged with concern. Lyra's patterns showed the first hints of worry. What challenges? That explanation requires a higher security clearance, Sarah replied. Which is why we're formally requesting an emergency session of the Council's inner circle. What we've detected in the galactic core needs immediate attention. The Council members exchanged glances, their various communication methods creating a symphony of light, sound, and digital signals. Finally, the High Speaker, a being so ancient they appeared as merely a shimmer in space, materialized in the center of the chamber. Humanity has proven itself beyond any doubt, they announced, their words translated simultaneously into every known language. The inner circle will convene at once. As Sarah prepared for the most critical diplomatic meeting in human history, she caught Maya's eye. They both knew that the real revelation, and humanity's true purpose for building these cities, was about to begin. The inner circle chamber made the main council hall look primitive by comparison. Quantum holograms displayed real-time data from across the galaxy, while the assembled representatives of the most advanced civilizations hovered in a perfect circle. Sarah stood at the center, with Maya beside her managing their presentation systems. 17 years ago, Sarah began, our deep space quantum sensors detected something unusual in the galactic core. She gestured, and a hologram filled the chamber's heart. We call it the Void Storm. The display showed a massive disturbance in spacetime, spreading like dark honey through the galaxy's center. The assembled aliens watched in silence as mathematical models predicted its growth over the next century. At first, we thought our instruments were malfunctioning, Maya explained, highlighting specific data points. The readings suggested a breakdown in the fundamental forces holding spacetime together. We spent 5 years confirming the data before we believed it ourselves. Lyra's patterns shifted to show deep concern. Our sensors haven't detected anything of this magnitude. Because you weren't looking for it, Sarah replied. The signal is hidden in quantum noise that most systems filter out. We only found it because we were studying quantum communications technology. The storm is growing, consuming stars and planetary systems as it expands. The high speaker's form wavered. How long until it reaches populated systems? Maya brought up another simulation. At current rates of expansion, it will reach the first major civilization's territory in approximately 50 years. Within 2 centuries, it could consume 30% of the galaxy. The chamber erupted in overlapping conversations, but Vex displays cut through the chaos. "This still doesn't explain your cities," his translation crystal chimed. Sarah smiled. "Look at New Horizons again. Not as a city, but as a prototype." The hologram shifted, showing the city's quantum field infrastructure, gravity manipulation systems, and power distribution network. Slowly, understanding dawned on the assembled representatives. "It's a lifeboat," whispered an ancient being composed of pure mathematics. "The entire city can move." "More than that," Maya confirmed. "Once detached from its current location, New Horizons can traverse vast distances using quantum displacement. The same technology that lets us tap quantum energy for power can be used for transportation." Sarah moved through the hologram, highlighting specific systems. Each city is designed to house millions, maintain complete ecosystems, and survive independently for centuries if necessary. The quantum cores can be adapted to protect against space-time disruption. We've built them to save as many people as possible. Not just humans, Maya added quickly. Each city can adapt its environmental systems to support multiple species. The residential sections can reconfigure to accommodate any known form of life. We designed them to preserve as much of the galaxy's diversity as we could. The high speaker drifted closer to the hologram. "You built these cities not to show your advancement, but to save lives," Sarah completed. "Yes. We've developed additional construction techniques that can speed up the building process tenfold with your help. We estimate we can construct enough cities to evacuate every threatened system, if we start now." Silence fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. Humanity, the supposedly primitive species they had dismissed, had spent 50 years preparing to save civilizations that had looked down on them. "There's more," Maya said softly. "Our latest research suggests the void storm might be containable, even reversible, using principles we discovered while developing the quantum tap technology. But it would require resources and knowledge beyond what any single civilization possesses." The high speaker's form solidified, a rare occurrence that marked moments of historic importance. "You seek not just to evacuate, but to save our galaxy itself." Sarah nodded. "We've designed the cities with dual purposes. They're not just lifeboats. They're mobile research stations and potential deployment platforms for whatever solution we develop together." The chamber, filled with beings who had witnessed millennia of history, fell into an awed silence. Humanity had not only seen a crisis coming but had spent half a century preparing to save everyone they could, even those who had dismissed them. The inauguration of Earth's seat on the Galactic Council coincided with the launch of the 1,000th space city. Sarah watched from the observation deck as the massive structure detached from its construction dock, its quantum fields shimmering like aurora borealis against the star-filled backdrop. "The Centaurian construction teams have surpassed all expectations," Maya noted, reviewing the completion data on her tablet. "Their energy-matter conversion techniques, combined with our constructor swarms, reduced building time by 60%. The newly completed city, named Unity, represented everything they'd achieved in the 6 months since revealing the Void Storm threat. Its design incorporated technologies from 20 different civilizations, each contributing their greatest innovations to the cause. Director Vex's latest simulations are encouraging," Sarah said, watching as Unity's quantum core powered up, its light rivaling nearby stars. "The containment field theories are proving sound." The chamber filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Where once there had been suspicion and condescension, now there was collaborative energy. The high speaker materialized in the center of the gathering, their form more solid than ever before. "Humanity," they began, their words translating instantly across all languages. "Once again, you have exceeded our expectations. Not through the cities you built, but through the bridges you've created between civilizations. The main display activated, showing the galaxy in real time. Hundreds of cities gleamed like jewels against the darkness, many already populated with refugees from the systems nearest to the approaching storm. Each one represented millions of lives saved, cultures preserved, hopes maintained. The containment project is proceeding ahead of schedule, Vec announced, his displays showing complex calculations. The quantum resonance technology derived from New Horizons, combined with the Proximan energy matrices and Sirian spacetime anchors, has shown 97% effectiveness in trials. Sarah stepped forward. But our greatest achievement isn't technological. Look around this chamber. Species that haven't cooperated in millennia now work together daily. The void storm threatened to destroy us, but instead, it united us. The display shifted to show the massive research fleet positioned near the galactic core. Thousands of scientists from hundreds of worlds worked together, their combined knowledge pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The first test of the containment system had successfully stabilized a section of spacetime larger than a solar system. The next generation will know a different galaxy, Lyra observed, her patterns showing deep satisfaction. One where cooperation is the foundation of civilization, not an exception to it. Through the viewport, Unity began its first quantum jump, preparing to rescue the inhabitants of a system in the storm's path. Its massive form shifted through spacetime like light through crystal, demonstrating the perfect blend of multiple civilizations' technologies. We've received the latest data from the core teams, Maya announced, her eyes brightening. The storm's expansion has slowed by 12%. The containment fields are working better than projected. The chamber erupted in celebration, but Sarah noticed something even more significant. The younger representatives from various species had formed their own working groups, sharing ideas and planning future projects without concern for ancient rivalries or past conflicts. Perhaps, the High Speaker observed, their form rippling with what might have been amusement. We needed a species young enough to ignore our preconceptions, one that would build lifeboats before being asked, that would solve problems without being bound by traditional limitations. Sarah watched as another city began its quantum jump sequence. We still have challenges ahead. The storm isn't fully contained, and there are systems we still need to evacuate. But we face them together, Vec added, his displays showing patterns of harmony. Humanity's greatest contribution wasn't the cities or the technology. It was showing us that the impossible becomes possible when we work as one. As the celebration continued, Sarah smiled at the irony. They had built the cities in secret, fearing the galaxy's judgment, only to discover that their greatest achievement would be bringing the galaxy together. The stars shone brighter somehow, as if reflecting the hope of a civilization that had learned to rise above its differences in the face of crisis.